Buenos días, mi gente. Aquí con la Margarita. We're having trouble with Facebook again. No Nintendo. So here we go. So hopefully we are on right now. See, the badass Buddha is the one who does all of this. There we go. There we go. We should be right on. So we should be on. Buenos días, mi gente. You know that old adage, good morning, Kathy, good morning, Empowering Process Podcast. Do you know that old adage that says you never know how good you have something till you lose it or you don't? Well, that's what happens when it's only one of us on the show. But buenos dias. Aquí. I hope that if you see me, yes, just let me know. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning here. You don't see me on Facebook. It says it's back on. So can you check it? One, I'll check it as well. Um, let's fix this first and then we'll continue on. Cause it's a beautiful morning. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yes, we are on. Let's do this. So, thank you, Gail. Okay, so in the intro, hola, yo soy la Margarita, your gladiator guru, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning. And the intention is to live in gratitude. Be intentional and gratitude filled. And guess what? If you are both, then you are filled with grace. And who can stop you? Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Why? Because when you are intentional in your day and you filled with gratitude, what really can stop you? Nothing. You're going to find a way around it, through it, up it. You'll even try to dig up some dirt underneath it and crawl from underneath it because when it's you and yours, you're going to find a way. Good morning, Leanne. So we should always remember that. Be intentional, filled with gratitude. Nothing's going to stop you. And the mantra, right? We all love the mantra. I wish that we can all hear it together. I am a disruptor. I am unapologetically courageous. I am spiritually grounded. I am magically orgasmic, ole, and I walk in my truth all day without a doubt. So, the mantra I believe is so powerful, and some people will pick one. Tiffany Bryan, good morning. You got to pick which one fits you until they all fit you like a glove because the whole mantra works together. It's just a driving force. It's this invisible side person that whispers. Like, I don't know if anybody ever heard of Marcus Aurelius. I've loved him forever. Him, Rumi, and Socrates, I always had a book on. But for the past 24 years now, Khalil Gibran has always been my favorite. But the mantra is always so powerful, Gail, absolutely. Marcus Aurelius was king, emperor, and he wrote this book, and it's fascinating. But he had a slave, a peasant that worked for him, that would walk with him all day. And his sole purpose was to whisper to Aurelius, "You're just a man. You're just a man." Hola, Milagros. And in doing that, Marcus Aurelius stood grounded. He didn't let the power go to his head. And Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, I think if you never read it, we can talk about this later on. But here's this man back in the day where they wore dresses and sandals. He knew there was something bigger than who he was. And he knew that if he remained grounded, spiritually grounded, he would see everything for what it was. So, yes, mantras, you pick one that suits you, and then you wear them all like a glove. Because to be a disruptor of your life means you're not going to take no shit. You're not going to tolerate nonsense. You're going to view the red flags for what they are, and you're going to seek for the green ones, even if you're only seeking them within yourself, so that you know what to compare it with whenever you're out in the world meeting people. So I think that should be a mantra should suit you. I don't normalize calling my children and my grandchildren beautiful, because that word is just a facade. See, this is all fleeting. And if the one person tells them they're not, then they believe they're not, right? So it's about you're smart, you're important, like that little thing from The Help. Ever since I saw that movie years ago, I've used it on my grandkids. And sometimes I'll sporadically send a text to my older granddaughter and my grandson, and they quickly respond, "Oh, I love you, Abuela. I needed that today. How do you know that I was feeling down?" And sometimes simple words, simple mantras do the same for us, but we never gift ourselves that opportunity. Why? Because what is today? What is today is conditional versus unconditional. It is the "I love you because," right? When you love someone, you just love, but that seems to make you feel weak or vulnerable or tolerant of many things. Oh, tell us about that. Gail says that last week she performed the trauma release script because I had to release a negative comment anchoring in my mind. Okay, that sounds intriguing. Um, I'm trying to take this banner off. As you see, yay. Um, Tell us about that, because you know what? What's conditional? And I'll start off with just the simple parts of condition. Mm. I read that it was the radiologist saying if I got cancer again, I would need a double mastectomy. And you know what? Yeah, because we're releasing negativity. I believe that when we love ourselves unconditionally, we're not anchoring ourselves to what happened. I like that word. And we're not stressing ourselves of what may happen, like that radiologist tried to put in your head. When you have an unconditional love for yourself, you're living in your moment, which is now, which is the only thing you can own. And then when shit happens forward, then guess what? You're crossing that bridge when you're supposed to be crossing that bridge. So I hope you gave him a piece of your mind, Gail, because that was BS. Like, how dare he? How dare he? Um, it triggered me, so I had to remove that program. Yes, and that's what we can do for ourselves. That's unconditional love. That's not wallowing in the BS and then repeating it to everybody you have a conversation with. That, well, yeah, I could imagine the shock of telling you that. Now, let me tell you something. I know a lot of people who have said, because their grandmother and their moms had cancer, that any slight sign of it, that they would remove both of them in a heartbeat because they just didn't want to deal with it. But the thing here is it's a choice of each individual, not something that should be forced upon. So yes, I get it. To hear that from a doctor is like, what the hell? So I hope you gave him a piece of your mind. because that is bad. So with the condition is that you're believing what is being said, or you're holding on to what is being said. So you saying that, um, Gail, is phenomenal because, and when you hold on to something, it will slowly eat you away. It will start decaying the joy that you have stored because everything's within us dormant, right? But the condition we put on that we're not worthy enough, that we're not deserving enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not skinny enough. Hey, I've gained weight and I'm like, I'm working on that mentally as well. But when someone else says it, right? So when we love ourselves unconditionally, we're accepting that, like Gail, it happened to you. So then other people think they have the right to point the fingers at you or to poke you. Well, do it this way. Or maybe I was thinking about you and I came to the conclusion that next time just take them both off. That is not for them to say. But when the unconditional love, I love you because you have endured, because shit was, and I'm talking about yourself when you tell yourself, because shit has occurred that we thought there was no way out, but we found it. And we don't need, unless we are seeking such deep, heartfelt opinions from people. Because even if we ask somebody for something like that, they're like, oh, just cut them both off without them realizing or knowing or needing to know how that would make us feel as a woman. So I think some people just need to be told right then and there, that's the I love you because. See, being a disruptor of your life is doing just that. It's building that guardrail, building those boundaries, layering your foundation that no matter what comes your way, it's not going to crack it. It's loving yourself enough to say, I am who I am and I need to be accepted as is. So I am going to be aware that I need to do the same for you. So how many, just with the a yay or nay, have lived like that? How many here have failed at that? How many people say, I'm going to be who I am, but you better not do this and you better not do that. And I don't accept this in a relationship, but you're doing the same thing that you're preventing or telling someone they cannot do, because that is the condition. Um, I don't remember if it was her badass story 2 or 3. I really don't remember. I was trying, but I recently relocated, so I don't have a lot of my stuff here, where I speak of unconditional love. And in the intro to my chapter, I say that I love unconditional. And I lay the cards out in it right in the beginning. Listen, this is what I'll tolerate. Omission is betrayal to me. See, a lot of people like, well, you didn't ask, and I didn't tell. I always believe omission is betrayal. If you felt the need not to share that part of your day, part of your experience, part of your life with me, and we are sharing a life, that's a betrayal. Because when we come together, we should be able to share everything so that we can understand one another and accept one another where we're at. So I always, if you feel you can't talk to me about something and you're going to turn to someone else to talk about that, I don't need to be here. Because all the puzzles need to be present, to be complete. Now, there's not everything. You don't want to talk to me about everything, but I'm saying things that you turn around and speak to other people about. So, unconditional to me means exactly this: I love the rain. And I love the rain. And there's people that says, I love the rain when I'm home. Or I hate when it's raining and I'm out running errands. But I love it when I'm sitting at home. See, that's love with condition. I love the rain. And when I say I love the rain, I do not own any umbrellas. I don't own umbrellas, nor do I like to walk under an umbrella. And it might sound like that's crazy or it's minimal, but it's not. How many of you like to walk out in the rain. And even when we were in Spain, for 2 days, we walked 3.5, 4 hours in the rain through the forest. And there came a point where I didn't even realize it was raining. It was just part of what was happening. Uh, yes, I used to bend for others. Come on, people, share your stuff. I used to bend for others, and I was miserable. Not anymore. I come first and second. If we don't allow ourselves to be our own compass, where we're north, south, east, and west, according to the compass, then how do we expect to be anything above that to anyone else? See, everyone is fighting a battle. And when you love with condition, that's how we lose ourselves. When other people love us with condition and we tolerate it. So we know we don't like it, but we feel we shouldn't leave or we can't leave because in some way, shape, or form, we believe we're not worthy or that we shouldn't be at the top of our own list. If you cannot be at the top of your list, what makes you think you're going to be at the top of anybody else's? So I love you because what? Look at that. Yes, Kathy, the rain is just mystically magical for me. The words from others have to do with them. Years ago, my mom said I wasn't pretty enough for anyone to want me. I knew that wasn't true. That's so sad. No. And it's, yeah, because selfishness isn't only from strangers. Thank you. Look how beautiful the Empowering Podcast said, Kathy, no. You know, thank you, Empowering Process. And absolutely, what is pretty? Like I said, this all will fade. This is a facade. When you're true to yourself, when you can love yourself unconditionally and then see the same value in the people you choose to be with, you're that 1% of the billionaires in the world. Because money can't buy that. When you truly, fully embrace who you are and you love yourself unconditionally, always leaving space for growth and to replace certain areas of your life, because every day is a process. We will be a work in progress till our last breath. So just because today you're like, Papa, no, every day is you're a work in progress to live with no conditions regarding yourself. When we learn how to love ourselves through the failures, through the ups and downs, through the embarrassing moments we put ourselves through the years we loved with no reciprocation, and then we felt like more failures when our mothers would speak to us worse than a stranger would, and you rise above it. That's your lesson. Why do we keep falling on our faces, learning or believing that nobody likes us, that we're not worthy? Why not? Why? Because good morning, Brenda, when we fail to love ourselves unconditionally, no one else is failing us. People can say many things to you. You are falling short of your true potential by allowing that to happen. The reason the Badass Buddha and I are so great together at this is because we share our views differently. And she's so full of compassion and empathy. And I am too. I just come up with a little sharper edge because no one can do anything to you that you do not allow. When someone is off rip, like they were to Gail at such a vulnerable time in her life because she has accomplished, she completed, but it's still that unhealed wound or healing as we speak. And for someone to tell you, if this comes back, then this is what you have to do. Yeah, we have no control over that. How we react to it is the icing on the cake. I love you because you are unique. There's only one of you. No one, no matter how hard they try to be you, will ever succeed What you need to do is stay steadfast in who you are, walking in your steps. If someone tries to knock you off your horse, laugh. Why are they trying to knock you off your game? Because you are unique. Because you know your value, you know your worth, you know that no one was born with the same gifts as you are, not as what you have, as what you are. When you learn how to love yourself without condition of our past, of our traumas, of our pains, of our mothers telling us that we're no good. I'm speaking for me, Kathy. Remember, I told you growing up, the joke in the house was we thought our father was Elvis and our name was Bitch. And you grow and you learn that you're not worthless. You're not a nobody. Your light is so bright that they had to try to dim it by wounding you. So instead of us saying, I know I'm better than this, I don't know who I am yet, but I'm going to find out who she is. Who is the she that lives within me? And love yourself to the condition where you're not being a pompous ass to people, where you're not believing you're better than anybody, but that you know that just like you are the queen of you, so are they to them. And when we respect those boundaries of who's who, and we meet people where they are so that we can know where to place them in our lives, nobody is beneath us, as above, so below. So, the same way you want to be honored and respected, even though they don't know you, but when you walk in a room, your posture is telling people, don't fuck with me. I am not the one. So when you enter somewhere, you are who you are and you're displaying that. And that crown is a little bit invisible to some, but many can see it just by your posture, just by the aura, that energy that comes in before you that says, I am love and I belong here. And you walk in, and there may be people who are double educated than you, or some that cannot meet you halfway. And then there's some that are in the same space that you are, but they lack empathy. They lack that confidence within themselves. So although they're even keel with you business wise, education wise, they envy you. They're jealous of you because they do not possess that aura of unconditional love and confidence. And that unconditional love means when you're walking in that room like a peacock with your chest out and your chin up, and you're looking at people and you genuinely smile and you trip and fall on your face. Ooh, people are gonna laugh. You should be the first one to laugh. Because if you can laugh when you fall, that's just the energy that's propelling you to rise a bit quicker and a bit sturdier. I always laugh when I fall. I'm always on the floor. But when those around you laugh, it's because, okay, are you okay? And then you rise up. The thing is to love yourself unconditional is to be able to trip over your own feet, laugh about it, and make sure you're wearing the right shoes the next time. It's not about being embarrassed and running out of the room because what is people going to think of what they're going to do? No. Love the rain to the point where you don't own an umbrella. And that's to me that's my little analogy of unconditional love because that's what I do. So pick something that oh yeah, this is what I do. This is the unconditional love. Or love a part of you like Gail. Good morning, Madeline. Leanne says, I can relate, Gail, ever since I walked away from people who were sucking the life out of me. I've become my true self and I'm kinder, loving soul. Yeah, I'm sure because we discover parts of ourselves that we didn't know were there because we've allowed the negativity of others to just cocoon us in darkness. It's not that the others cocooned you in darkness. You allowed that behavior, that kind of energy to come to you and cocoon you. Remember, Gail, yeah, um, because you're walking tall, because you're walking in your essence. You're walking in the only thing you can walk in, your true self. When we pretend to be something we're not, we're always falling short. It makes us angrier. It makes us more jealous. Just stop the bullshit. Nobody's doing anything to you that you're not doing to yourself. When you love yourself unconditional, damn it, nobody can pick at you. Nobody can poke you with a sharp object and make you bleed a little here and scabs are all over your body. No. When you love yourself unconditional, you know you're going to fail. You know you're going to fall. You know you're going to fuck up along the way. But you're going to nurture yourself. You're going to forgive yourself. You're going to learn from what that self did that made you fall and falter. And then you're going to prevent yourself from falling into the same traps. Again, going forward, it might take 1 to 5 tries. I don't know, walking down the street. Remember the poem we read? Took her 5 times before she's like, fuck that, I'm going down a different street. No one does anything to you that you do not allow. The doctor said that to Gail, and Gail was affected because we all are, we're human. But then she went home and she did what she had to do to release it. She took ownership of her emotions because somebody can tell you something and it's gonna, like my aunt in Puerto Rico always said, Margarita, ponte mucha vaselina en la mañana para la mierda que te digan te resbale. Margarita, every morning put a lot of Vaseline on so any bullshit said to you throughout the day would just glide right off of you. So you can either do that, but there's some things that are going to affect you, especially if it's so like what Gail just went through. And it's going to affect you, but then it's up to you to rid yourself of it, which is what she did. Madeline says sometimes it's a dead end or stop sign that you needed to get you to redirect. Absolutely. Or a brick wall. I get thrown. Absolutely. You know why? Because sometimes we believe, we reach a certain point in our healing that we think we got it. And when you understand, when you start to understand, it will lead you to the knowledge that you need to stay in that understanding. And then as you progress in that understanding of all things you turn into being filled with wisdom. When you get to that part of wisdom, then you can start sharing. And your understanding, you can seek out people who you know, feel, or have seen that have been in the same situations as you. So you invite them to walk that path of understanding of self. Not that we're filling their heads with what we've done and they should do it the way we did it. But this was my scenario in life. And for many years I did shit and then I was angry and then I was this and lived on survival mode, yada yada, whatever the story is. And then I decided to follow this path of self-discovery. I was stuck, I got redirected, and I was upset because now I had to walk all the way around the block again. But then I found an alley, and through that alley, I crossed over into me. This is my knowledge of how I am working on the spirit that was born and the purpose of this in my life now. Okay, as you're walking through that understanding, you reach a pivotal location filled with pearls. And when you start walking, you start sharing the pearls of wisdom. But in order to go from being a wisdom filled person into a sage, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And when you sacrifice that conditional love that you carried all of your life, then you become a motherfucking sage. And when you reach that position, then you know. But even in the knowledge part, you know. And that is why when you start walking the path of knowing who you are, you're filled with this knowing that you want to grow into more. You want to learn because as you grow and you learn, you share. And that's what humanity is, to be of service to those souls we encounter. So even the path of knowledge that leads you into the prairie of wisdom where all the pearls are just sitting there waiting for you. You've reached a place in life that your purpose was destined to be. But you got to want to walk the path. And as you're walking, you're hurting because in order for you to release the pain, you got to acknowledge that pain. And in order to acknowledge that pain, you got to refeel it again. And why do we fear the pain that we already know existed? Because we put conditions. I ain't doing that again. Why would I do that again? I didn't deserve that. Well, obviously, the pain was meant for you because there's no coincidences in life. That pain was meant to birth the new you, but you decided to sit in it. So who has placed condition on their own lives? So we get angry and we're like, people trying to tell me what to do. I don't want to do this. I don't, and they expect me to do this in order to get that. But what happens? That's a condition you placed on your life that you've allowed others to place on your life. Because although you're sitting in the background, muffled, complaining about these people in your life, you're still not doing anything to grow out of that life, which means you have to mentally and spiritually grow out of that position of condition to then say, there is nothing I cannot do. I am unstoppable to reach the purpose that I was born into this life to be and to have and to share with others who are on the journey or who need to step onto the platform to walk their journey. And that is what we do as a people. Hold on, let me read some of the comments because I tell you I suck at this. So yeah, Gail, I'm constantly going back to I was told last weekend that I look 6 feet tall. I can be anywhere. I remember we were at Orchard Beach in the Bronx, and it was me and 3 others, my sister, very close friend, and her daughter, and we're walking, and I'm just walking because there was a group of older men, and they looked, and I thought they were going to start tirando piropos, flirting. And one of them looks, and he's like, "You're the leader, aren't you?" And before I could answer, my sister and the 2 friends were like, "Yeah, she is. How'd you could tell?" And he says, "Oh, I could tell. I can easily tell just by who you are." And I meant how I would. I know he meant how I was walking, but it's like I sometimes have always been true to who I am, and it doesn't matter what weight I'm at. I've always been true to who I am. So I never noticed that. It's just who I am. So when people, strangers, point that out, and then there's like a harmony of, yes, she is from behind me, I was like, wow. And it makes me smile because I'm not letting myself down. Because if I don't do it, who the fuck is, right? If you don't show up in your true potential, don't complain about how people are treating you because you've set conditions on that. I love you because, and this is, I mean, we can say that to people. It's about love. I want you. The hardest love you're gonna ever encounter is loving yourself. Because you know all your dirty secrets. And you know all those horrible lies that you've told and that you've stored. And it's okay. Release them to the wind. Release them. They are not sewn into the tapestry of your soul. You're just clinging on to them for dear life because they're familiar. Let it go. Because your truest, the most deepest love is you. And do it without condition. And it's not even as hard. People are like, oh, that's easier said and done. No, it's not. So, Leanne, I'm so proud of you for that. I don't know who you're letting go in your life, but we think that we have to tolerate our children's bullshit, our siblings. I'm the first one they'll say, "Oh, she thinks she's all that," or what my siblings have told me. "Oh, shut up! You think you know everything?" Okay. And so I'm not the fixer anymore. I'm Margarita. And you know what? Me and my 4 personalities, we have a lot of shit going on anyway. So Madeline says sometimes it's a dead end, or okay, you said that, or a brick wall. Madeline says it's a blessing when you're self aware enough to allow others into your circle to listen and learn from and share with. And she says it's funny because it's equivalent to childbirth. If we could remember that, if we knew how painful it was going to be, we wouldn't do it. Or when we're doing it, we're like, we're not having no more. And then people pop out three other ones. But absolutely, it's like childbirth. You know what? Hold that compass in your hand and then hold it and say, I can go anywhere in life. I have a compass. Well, you are the compass. You are that most precious, that most valuable compass that exists. And you can go anywhere. The other day my son said, I was talking about returning back to complete the camino. And and I already booked the tickets, because I have to finish what I started. This journey of self means you finish what you started. Even if you halfway along the way, you finish what you started. Because if you can compete with yourself and complete what you said you were going to do or not do, it's unconditional. How could anyone let you down if you're the first one allowing yourself to let you down? So I'm going to complete it. And I don't know where my son says, I don't know why you keep going to wasting money going to the same place to see the same things. And I said, the first one was, which is going on 7 years now, the French way. The second one was the Portuguese way. And the third one, although it was the French way again, it was in winter, dead center winter. Started walking December 28th, 2023. We walked into the new year. Winter, freezing. What the fuck am I doing? That was my thought. Still did it. It was something different. It was something I would have never imagined doing in the winter. We saw not a soul walking. We experienced empty albergues, walking further because that town didn't have any accommodations. When I tell you it was a different thing, but not everybody's going to get it. And then I told him, every time I go, it might be to Spain, it might be to do another camino, a different route, the same route. But I meet different spirits that were destined to cross path with me since before childbirth. So before I was born, these people were already whispered, as was I, that we are going to meet at some point in our lives. And that's why we do what we do. And I'm going somewhere. We have people who say that have not gone anywhere. The first people to criticize my traveling are the people who don't fucking do nothing with their lives. They always have an excuse why they can't do something. So again, I listen, I reply to where there's a good understanding, and then I go on my merry way and do what I was going to do. Because my first responsibility is to the true love of my life, which is me. You don't gotta get me. You don't gotta understand me. Shit, you don't even gotta like me. But I will be La Margarita for La Margarita. And I will do no harm to no one. I'm always with the hand up, never a hand out. You need something. If I got it, if you got it. If I eat, you eat. That's always been how I live in my life. I don't care about stuff like that. Money and things go, but they always come back. My kindness is ever flowing, and I will smile. And now I've learned not to be rageful. So now if I come across and I have to share space with somebody that I don't like, I'll smile. Why? Because it does elevate my spirit as well, I learned. Let me read some of this. Madeline says, it's funny because it's equivalent. Oh, yeah. That, you know what, Madeline? Childbirth, they say it's equivalent to breaking 180 bones in the human body. Oh my God, that's what I needed to hear. Not everyone's going to get what you need to do. Not at all. Because everybody was born with their own purpose. They were born to have their own experiences in life. But many of us are not even aware of how afraid we are to live. Yet we don't want to die. You got to choose a poison because that is the balance of life. We are born to die. The only thing is that the doctor can tell your mama, more or less, give or take a couple days, when you're going to be born. But not many of us know when we are going to die. But it's inevitable. So what are you doing in that in between? 55 I turned in November. This year was my second, like they say 50 is the second half of your life. 55 to me was I'm living my life now. Everybody's set in their own categories. But the universe had different plans. So here I am. And I'm not going to complain about it. I am going to engage in it with boundaries. So, not everybody liked that. They heard that I already booked my ticket for the beginning of May to be back in Spain for a month. That's okay. They'll get over it and they're going to figure it out. I promise you. But I got to do me because I am in the second half of my life. And in that second half of life, I can't fuck around. I can't leave things for tomorrow. I have to love myself with so unconditionally that I'm going to leap to opportunities as they present themselves if they're worthy of my time and my presence. If I know that, oh my God, years ago I said I wanted to do this, look at how it's popping up now, I'm going to do it. You know, I am going to do what fills my soul with happiness. Why? Because time waits for no one. And I was not put on this earth to be little, to play little. If that was so, my Father God would not have given me such a loud voice, such a vivid imagination, and such solid, hardcore passion that I fight for what is right. That wouldn't have happened. So, those who know me know I never gave a shit about other people's opinions. But this time it's about I'm going to come together. I'm going to give what I can to those who need parts of me, but the complete me will always stay solid with me. And uh, like Gail, Milagros, when you hear these women speak, I mean, we're going to have these on the show. Milagros, I don't know if she's still on, but Milagros is one woman that you can talk about anything and everything with. And I love her accent. And Milagros is understand me because this is how I speak. No, oh, I'm sorry. No, I have an accent, and this is how I speak. And try to stay with me, keep up. That's her attitude because you are who you are. When you love yourself unconditionally, it's not about what anybody thinks. It's not about how they view you. Their perception of who you are is exactly that how the line started. Their perception. You are who you are. You are who you should be all the way through. Um, Kathy says it's wonderful to experience places in different seasons. It really is. Like, I really loved it, even though I knew that Spain experienced the same weather as Connecticut. I love Galveston, Texas in October. Madeline says we need to get together before you leave. Yes, I love the hill country in any season. Existing is not living, not at all. You know, a grain of sand weighs nothing, and a rock, no matter what size, has weight to it, some more than the other. But they both sink the same, right? So when you compare yourself to a grain of sand that anybody can kick off, flick off, get stuck in the groove of someone's shoe, to a rock, they both sink the same. So why not be that rock carrying your weight around, letting everybody know, you know what, I was born to die, I'm gonna die. This beauty that I believe to have, it's fading, it's fleeting. When all of that goes, who are you really? And that's the question we have to do. That's unconditional love. It's getting to know yourself inside out. I looked in the mirror the other day and I'm like, oh my God, I always have big cheeks and they're falling and I have this here, you know, and I can't defeat time. I can't run away. I can only age gracefully. Dying is easy, being alive is difficult, interesting, and beautiful. That's right, because people say you only live once. No, you only die once, but you live every morning that you rise up out of your bed, out of your sleep. You live every day, you die once. So the question is, are you living what you were born to live, or are you being a doormat? Or a foyer rug that everybody just walks all over. They'll look at it, oh, that's a pretty rug, and then walk right over it. When it takes it out to be cleaned, they miss it because now the foyer is going to get dirty or it's slippery or the floor's cold, whatever may have you. That's when they miss you. Your presence should be so illuminating that when you walk in any environment, you stand proud because you exist in an unconditional, fathomly fashion that no one can amount to be. No one can be you. You are the best you can possibly be. And if you're not being the best you can possibly be, stop blaming people. Don't put conditions on people. Well, they should have known this and they should have done this and they should. No, you know. You know, chiquita banana. Right, Milagros? Todos sabemos quién somos. And if you don't know who you are, figure it out. You got one lifespan. I'm in my second half of life. I'm not fucking around. I'm not leaving for tomorrow what I know I can do today. I'm not speaking my mind because it might, well, not that I've ever done, but there's something you're like, hey, I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm just going to go. I'm in the second half of my life. I'm so unconditional with myself that I've noticed that although for everything that's happened in my life these last 8 months, all the little changes that have amounted to things have me like my hips are bigger and I don't know if you can see, I'm not ashamed to show it. So see if I hide this, my hips, my fupa, you know, and I'm going out and there's no shame. Years ago, whenever I could gain weight, lose weight, and I would hide or I would just avoid places. And lately, I've been like, "Oop, I'm popping up like slut magic. Hello." Like Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. Hello. Because I know my worth, I know my value, and I know that I go up and down. I'm like a fucking ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low, because that's going to keep me from loving me. And yeah, the weight comes and the weight goes and the weight comes and the weight goes. But you know what? That's it. It's not like it's new in my life. So now, yesterday, I'm like trying to figure out what am I doing? But then something new happened that I wanted. So I locked down. I have an art studio that I'm renting an art studio in an old factory that rents several things. And because I no longer have my house with my art room and my sanctuary, I don't want to impose all of my stuff in my son's house now or my sister's. So, what do I have to do? This is what I'm doing. Why? Because I believe in me. I believe in the product I create, and I believe in the abundance I'm going to receive once I have the space and carve the time to create and package and go out into the world and sell my shit. So Unconditional means you're going to try, you're going to fail, you're going to fail 57 times. And on the 58th, you're going to succeed. But what does that say? That you've been doing it wrong for 57 times? No. You've been perfecting it until that 58th time. There's no failure. The only failure is when we don't believe in ourselves. The only failure is when we stop loving ourselves unconditionally, to speak our truth, to work with the gifts that we have been provided, and create an abundance of life. We are the creators of our wealth. And if we don't focus on our health, to, to learn what our talents are and create that abundance of wealth, then what's going to happen? Exactly. You've been learning 57 times. It took you that many times to say, bing, for that light bulb to come up and say, we got it. Our persistence has paid off. That's loving yourself unconditional. Not when the first time it goes wrong, you're blaming God, you're blaming your mother for giving birth to you, blaming your husband for not allowing you the alone time to create. Everybody gets blamed except you. Come on, shake it off. We have to say, I am worthy. And then I fiddled and faddled with a lot of different stuff before I realized what I want to create, produce, package, and sell. Figure it out. We all have that. Let me read some before. Madeline says, living is creating a life that affects you and others. Of course, because when you love yourself unconditionally, that trickles off. That aura, you're sending that bright white globe of energies out to those around you. And the people that are around you are the people that you love and honor and respect. So, of course, but it starts with you. Dying is easy, being alive is difficult. Interesting, beautiful. Milagro, I love that you wrote that. That's the fact people miss. Madeline says, we are going to die. Are you really living a big life, the life you want to live? If not, then change it today and start today. Yes, we know. Let me tell you something. Your life doesn't have to be this big social media presence, speaking on all types of platforms, earning all this money. Your life could be living in a 2-bedroom cabin down a dirt road with some chickens and cattle. That your life has to be lived according to how you want to live it, where you're going to always sit in your peace, because that's how your power remains with you, and your power to make changes or to indulge in the life that you have chosen. Because there's no negativity, there's no room for negativity, there's no room for darkness or anything. So I think that when we know who we are, and when we choose to love our lives and ourselves unconditionally, that's when we'll start seeing everything with a different light. That little gray cloud that's been around dissipates. The sun starts to shine a little more during your day. The moon's glow is so just warming to your soul every evening. When you look up, the stars are like waving at you because they're shimmering. When you choose to love yourself with no condition, you see things for what they really are. And when you look at those things for what they really are, you get to choose what's the best situation and setting in your life. And when you choose for you, how could you be wrong? You can't be wrong. So I love you because, when people are like, how you doing? I always say de maravilla in Spanish, means I'm marvelous, darling. Or I say awesome, because I'm awesome. And people look at me like I'm full of shit or stupid, and I don't care. And I just laugh. Why? Because I could either talk to them about actual unconditional self love or the cultivation of self trust and self belief and self respect. But some people, and I say this with a lot of love because I say this beginning with my children, when you say something, they're so used to you talking. that it goes boom, boom. Yeah, mom. Okay, yeah. But what did I say? Oh, now you're gonna quiz me? Ah, that's how you know. And I think the worst part of walking in understanding and then shifting into the prairie of wisdom is that you can't take those you love with you because they have their own path to walk. And when you are in the space of unconditional love, that I love me because it hurts when you can't reach or teach especially the children, because you want them not to have to go through everything you went through to know what you know. But you know what? It's their path. And sometimes they're going to have to fall 67 times before they learn. And all I decided I could do is be here to help them up for every time they fall. But at first, it was very hard for me. I would get angry to the point where I'm like, how are they like that? They're my kids. They should know better. See, I put condition because I was learning. This was years ago. I was learning to love myself. And then I started putting judgment on my own children. And although it still pains my heart with the choices they make in their 30s, you know, I've always been a hands-on mom, literally. I still want to punch them in the throat. Like, why aren't you getting this? And then I have to step back and not even ask them, let them come to me. And once they come to me, then they're opening the door for me to share my views on it. And I think that has been working out, but they still don't get it like they should. Then they want to call me after the fact. Well, I can't help you now. That's how I've been doing. I can't help you now. You didn't think it was valuable enough for me to have known in the beginning or during when something could have been done. Don't come to me at the end and think, Captain Saberho's going to step in and do everything because I'm not. And that's how they've also been learning. So, dying is easy, being difficult, interesting. Yes, we know. Kathy says, I've seen some so afraid of death that they refuse to live. Yes. Um, Kathy says one. Let me tell you something. It's inevitable. It is the balance. It is the law of life, death. So, if we know this, because we know this, why aren't we living our full potential? Sickness can come, and it's up to us to say, I see you, I know you're there, but you won't be living, you won't be dwelling in this body for long. And that's how you prep yourself mentally, emotionally, you arm yourself spiritually, and you do what you have to do to rip that sickness out of you because you do have the power. God has given you that grace. I decree and declare that no sickness will come into this body or remain in this body. You have that power. And we've all seen it. And I believe that when you love yourself so unconditionally, you're bright, your light is so bright that you're going to lose a lot of people, like Leanne said. When you choose you, you will lose people who you thought were unlosable. And it is because your light is glowing, such I never could say the word right, a luminous, that people have to do this, not even their sunglasses to block it. Why? Because they're living in their darkness that they're trying to project onto you. Remember, loving yourself unconditionally. It's like floating on the clouds, but it's using discernment. When you love yourself unconditional, you understand that other people are not there yet. You understand that some cannot fathom or never will get in line to love themselves because they just can't. And you have to learn when you love yourself unconditionally that everybody was born with a purpose, and some are to be purposefully in love with who they are without conditions so that they may assist everyone else. And then there's some that are not, because those are the people that are teaching us how to love ourselves. Everybody has a role to play in this world. Which one is yours? Whichever one is yours, love it unconditionally because you matter in whatever assignment you have been given before birth. And when you carry out that assignment, your karma and everything else will pay it forward. We all have an assignment. Remember, I spoke a long time ago. Some of us were born with the sole purpose to work in the lighthouse behind the light that shines out into the sea. So when you're behind that light, you don't, you're in darkness because you're seeing the back of the light thing. The light is shining out into the world. But your role is so pivotal to save lives. And that was your assignment in life. There's people who love, I've watched many old movies of the lighthouse caretakers. They love that job. They love the solitude of living in the lighthouse, of fishing by themselves, of making sure that light is working at all times. I've read books of captains of their lighthouses. That is their purpose, and they have owned it. So it's not about us imposing our beliefs on others because everybody's born with a different journey, with a different job. Know which one is yours and love it. So I hope this has been um, food for I love you because condition versus unconditional. Everybody knows what's a condition, but we all got to be reminded that we're worthy of unconditional love, if first and foremost from our own selves. So, with that, mi gente, it is the end of our show. Thank you for staying on. And remember to breathe in your beauty and breathe out the bullshit. This from La Margarita, your gladiator guru. Have a great day. Here we go.